I'm not camera ready.
You didn't bring some liquid refreshment?
We should have brought beers. I don't know why we didn't. The first episode's already off to a disastrous result. We're in a giant ballroom, hence the echo. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
We asked for a private room, and they wouldn't give it to us. So
we just showed up in one.
We found a ballroom that wasn't locked.
Look,
all right.
Look. So we've already done breaking and entering together.
Yeah.
Let's talk comics.
Let's do it. Let's talk comics in an empty ballroom.
First of all, who are you?
I'm Larry Watts.
What have you worked on?
I've worked on Robin Hood.
Yeah. I mean, say it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Okay.
Okay.
I've worked on Robin Hood, Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Some work for Valiant. Just did some work in the Full Bleed magazine for IDW.
Nice. You are a penciler and inker.
Penciler and inker. Sometimes colors.
Sometimes colorist. Yeah.
Done some stuff for Aftershock.
Yeah.
And I'm doing some stuff for Devil's Due right now and American Mythology. I can't talk about some of the stuff, but yeah, I'm floating around.
Cool.
Trying to hit everything.
So, what attracted you to comics to begin with? Like, what? Okay. How about this?
Wow.
What was the first comic that you read that like blew your mind?
I remember getting like those comic books at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And at Walmart. And
on like a spinner rack
like
or whatever?
3-in-1 packs where you could see like what was on the outside.
Yeah.
But I remember getting like X-Force 1 in one of those Walmart packs.
Yeah.
And like at the time I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, But the comic book that blew my mind was the one that was like sandwiched in between them. Yeah. It was a Spider-Man comic book where he battles I think Thanos. Yeah, it's like
Spider-Man versus Thanos?
Yeah, and it's like Thanos on the cover, and he's got and he's holding Spider-Man in his like giant hand. He's like, "You'll believe a man can die." It was the guy that did Spider-Man 2099.
Rick Leonardi.
Yeah, Rick Leonardi was.
They drew the hell out of it.
It was so good. It was so good. Basically, like a kid dies or something, and he's like, "What the fuck, Thanos?" And like reasons with him to like save the day or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's a good book. I still have it.
Yeah, that's cool.
The artwork in it. He's actually like one of my favorite Spider-Man artists.
Rick Leonardi.
Yeah. He does a great Peter Parker.
Yeah, cool, man. So let's talk process.
All right.
When you first started making comics, what was your process like?
When I first started making comics.
And how long ago was this?
Well, I feel like there's like 2 stages to that. Yeah. Because when I was a kid, I'd make comics.
Right.
And I was all traditional at that point.
Yeah. As a child.
Yeah. No, but
do we even have computers?
No, you didn't. I mean, I had a Commodore 64.
Yeah. It was not really integrated into the process.
And I had one of those computerized typewriters.
Yeah.
So when I first got back into comic books, it's probably like around 2009, maybe 2008, 2009. I was like a casual reader at that point, and I was working as an art director at an ad agency. And I came home one day, and my roommates were playing HeroClix. Yeah. And I started going to comic book shops again, fell in love with comic books again, and then eventually started drawing superhero stuff.
How'd your roommates stumble into HeroClix?
They were into it already.
Yeah.
But I just never caught them playing. And then
Sock on the door.
Right.
We're playing HeroClix. Don't come in.
Yeah, I came home one day and they're in the kitchen playing this game. I'm like, what are you doing? What is this? And I was like watching them, like, this is like super chess with superheroes. Yeah. And I immediately went and bought some. And then I was like, let me pick up this book, And then I remember I picked it up and it was like Civil War. And I was like, is this how good comic books are now? And then
That was the first Civil War crossover, right?
yeah, the
Yeah,
McNiven
Yeah.
and Millar. And dude, I was blown away. And so I was like, I'm gonna start reading comic books again. I was spending like a couple $100 a week on like
Oh yeah.
the last 10 years, and only the
Sure.
good stuff, because the guy's like, well, if you like that, get this. So I was getting like this like real curated experience of like, this is how good comic books are now.
Man.
Oh, it was so good.
Who was helping you through that experience? Was it the local shop?
Chet.
Oh, yeah?
He's a comic book shop owner. The shop was like less than a mile from my house, and
This is a recipe for disaster.
right. And I would stop there on my way home from work and just like buy boosters for HeroClix, you know, and just like a couple trades or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I remember started adding up like what I'm getting, and I'm just like, why I'm spending a lot of money on these. But at the time I didn't have kids, so it was like, okay.
A little more freedom for sure.
Yeah, I remember I was like playing HeroClix with one of the kids that I met at the comic shop.
Yeah.
And like I remember like I drew like Iron Man or Wiccan like on a piece of paper, and he's like, "That's pretty good, man." And I'm like, "Oh, I like to draw," you know. I mean, because I was still doing commercial illustrations at that agency, and then then I just started. It's like a slippery slope, man. You started going on the forums and
What forums were you going on?
Millar World, comic block forums.
I feel like Millar World is responsible for a lot of, like, an entire generation of people getting their start. All right, we're here at Collective Con with a real-life Ghostbuster. What's the toughest thing about busting ghosts?
What's the toughest thing about busting ghosts? Dealing with the slime that gets on me.
Yeah, it's in the crevices.
It is. It's like going to the beach.
All right, so we're back.
Part two.
Part two.
Got in trouble.
we didn't get in trouble, we got arrested.
Yeah. Now we're in the business center jail.
We're in the business center jail. We're basically comic books bad boys.
Yeah, living life on the edge. Now we're in weird chairs.
We're in weird chairs. You know,
like,
if they just gave me another chair and just shoot it in the goddamn room, I don't know. Anyway, let's go back to process.
Yeah. So, in general, when I started, it was pencils, inks on Bristol.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got a Cintiq, and then it was digital pencils, and then ink. And I used to ink with a brush and a quill.
Yeah.
And microns. So everything.
You were using a quill?
Yeah. Actually, I still use a quill.
Really?
As well. Yeah, I like.
Jeremy was like, he's all crow quill.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hahn, and he was like, you should try it. I tried it for like 30 seconds, and I was like, never again.
I like the drag.
Yeah.
And like the scratch. The scratchy. It feels like I'm doing something. And I like the way it tapers.
Yeah.
But after that, I got a Cintiq, and at some point, it was like deadlines were killing me.
Yeah.
And I just went all digital for a while.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like maybe a couple of years ago where I was like, I'm gonna do some more traditional again.
Yeah.
So it's either I usually do all the penciling on the screen. That way I can mess with stuff.
Yeah.
And then if I have the time, I'll blue line a Bristol board and finish it out traditionally. If I don't have the time, it's all
How do you think the work compares versus like a finished digital only versus like a finished like straight up traditional?
I feel like there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
You know, and there's things that I can't do digitally.
Like what?
Like using the toothbrush.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
They have like splatter pens in Photoshop, but like nothing really works as good as just like a.
Yeah.
Like stuff
You
like
don't
that.
get any kind of variation.
Yeah,
with the splatter
because it's
the
just
splatter
like
brush.
that splatter, you know. And, but like you get like happy accents, and you do the same thing. Like this is a dry brush, you know, but it's not like using a dry
real
brush.
dry
You
brush,
know, And then like there's things I can't do traditionally. Like I can't just plop down a perspective grid real quick.
Right.
So I mean, and sometimes I'll do like some of it on the computer, and
Yeah.
then some of it traditionally and just put it all together at the end. But I don't think like the end product is that much different.
Sure.
But I think for myself, I still can spot like my problems
a
lot quicker on a real piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I can see the line weights better because digitally you're just like, you're staring at a song and like zooming in and out. But yeah, in person, like.
Do you find yourself, this is kind of a leading question, but do you find yourself like getting lost in the backgrounds and stuff when you work digital?
Yeah. I've spent like so much time on something, and then when I see it in print, I'm like,
what square centimeter?
What was the point of that at all? Which is super disappointing. Because you know, when you've spent like 30 minutes like really detailing out this crowd scene, and you like zoom out and you're like, what? You know, I should like something should tip me off when like I have like a 3-pixel brush, you know, or something. Right. But
I can always tell when like I can a penciler is gone in the weeds digitally because like I'll be able to zoom in on like none of this. I'm just one color because none of this is gonna work.
Yeah. Another thing too though is like I find myself the freedom of digital can slow you down sometimes. Because you're like, I can redo that. I can do it better. I can do it better.
Oh.
I can do better. I can do better. And then like,
if you can infinitely tweak, you'll just spend all your time doing that.
You won't just let it go. You won't just be like, that hand could be better. Like, I mean, one of the last covers I did, there's like a hand that was bugging me. I think I drew that hand like 30 times. And like after it was all said and done, I still think the first one was better.
You know, I'm drawing a little bit, and I'm trying to find my way with it. And
you do.
I
think you're doing a good job.
Thanks. I find that like I'll get frustrated with a hand, and then like I'll redo it, and then I'll be like, it's not the hand, it's the whole arm, and then I'll redo the whole arm, and I'll be like, now the torso's wrong. You know, like it's just cascading. Like, and I'm like, well, we're just doing the whole figure all over again. Couldn't get the fingers right on that one hand.
Paper's giving out.
There's just a hole.
Moving on.
Paper.
I can patch this.
I can patch this. We can still make comments. You're kind of new to the industry. Kind of. A lot of people would say that you like. You're in. I feel like if you're just starting, it's like, oh, Larry Watts is in. He's had published work with major publishers, and but there's definitely like levels and tiers. What do you think is like the biggest hurdle that you're trying to overcome right now?
Myself. Well, there's a lot of things. There's just where the industry's headed. But as far as hurdles, I could probably do more social media. I personally don't think it should be necessary to like be on social media a lot. But when I first
you don't think it should be necessary because we got a case of the olds.
Well, I also just don't like. I want to do my work, you know. And I find it like tedious and disingenuous to be like me like online, you know. That's like not the kind of person that I ever wanted to be.
So where can we find you online? Are you
LarryEwatts.com?
And what's your Twitter handle?
I'm not sure.
You don't even know.
I'm pretty sure at Larry Watts Art.
You're pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
We're pretty sure.
If you just look Larry Watts up, I had a good handle for a while, and then like a musician was like, "I'm Omega Watts." I'm like, "No, I have had."
You were fighting with a musician?
His fans started attacking me on Twitter.
Fans?
They're like, "You're not Omega Watts." I'm like, "I've had this handle since Twitter started." Like,
you got bullied into giving it up?
He contacted me and he was like, "Hey man, I'm really sorry about the way people are acting. Like, you know, can we work this out?" I'm like, "Just fucking have it." You know, just have it. I don't give a shit, you know. So I just changed it to Larry Watts Art because that way it's easier for someone to be like, because someone's gonna know something like, Larry's likes to call himself Omega Watts on, on Twitter. But I could do more, and there's like times where like I get into it, and like I'll do it, you know. But then I get bogged down with everything, and I'm just like, what's gonna go, like especially if I'm on a deadline or whatever, like well, the first thing to go is something
Sure.
unnecessary.
Sure.
And like social media and video games are like
I dip in and out of Instagram because the platform is tough to work with. Because it needs to be on your phone or you need an app or whatever. It's just like obnoxious. And when I'm under deadlines, first thing that goes is Instagram posts.
And another thing too,
and I recognize the importance. I want to post on Instagram, but I'm just like,
I find it distracting too, and like I don't need any distractions.
Sure.
So, like, and not only distracting, but lately, like since 2016. Social media's been depressing for me. Because of the politics.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like all those things combined have kind of like kept me from wanting to like really promote online. You know? But like we were talking earlier, like, I'm just gonna try to do my work, do it on time, and then
hopefully that'll speak for itself.
I'll dip back into the social media more, but I think like I've had a couple of instances where I was like late on books, so I'm trying to get back to the like I can hit a deadline. Consistently. So far, 2019, all good. You know,
we're pretty early in 2019.
Hey.
Okay.
All right. Starting now.
Starting now. So we're at Jacksonville Collective Con. It's a smaller show.
It's a small show.
It's a small show. We're like
It's like
what 1/4 of the
Clay, Seth, Nick, me, Sanford, Tony, and Pat Broderick. It's 7.
Yeah.
So we're 1/7 of the comic community.
2 7ths.
2 7ths. We're
wow.
2 7ths.
You just cut me out of the comic community, right?
I just think of us as one. I think of us as one person sometimes.
So, do you like doing smaller shows, bigger shows? Like, do you prepare for them differently? Do you have different expectations? Like,
I love this show. It's great. I'm happy they have us as guests here.
I mean, I'm a colorist. I rarely get invited to shows where they're like, "We're gonna put you up. We're gonna give you a table." Like, I'll take it.
I feel like I personally like the bigger shows with editors and publishers.
Sure.
And a bigger crowd.
Sure.
But I feel like those shows can either be great. Or like just dog shit. The smaller shows.
How does it? What are you measuring that by? Like, what do you?
My experience.
Expand on that with like bigger shows being like either really good or really bad.
Well, I feel this way about any show. Like, I do not think about like I didn't make enough money at the show. Like that's never a thing for me because I look at it as like a marketing and networking thing. And also giving back to the people that support you. If you make money, it's great, and we usually do. But I'm not going to be like, I didn't make this much money or whatever. As long as I'm not like losing money, it's pretty good. But like, as far as like success or failure, it's like if I have a good time and maybe talk to people I worked with, you know, caught up with old friends, maybe put in some groundwork towards a project or, you know, a relationship, that's a good show for me. You know, and had a good time. But like, if you're just like, a bad show for me was like that New York Comic Con where we were in the basement and the AC went out. You know,
it's funny that you're labeling New York Comic Con like one of the largest cons in the country, and you're like, that was a bad show.
For me, it was a bad show. I mean, you spend, you know, 4 days. Is it 4 days?
Yeah, I think so.
4 days, and then you're in a basement. And they shrunk the tables down. It was super packed, and the AC goes out. You're like sweating while you're trying to do your you know, the paper sticking to your arm while you're trying to do commissions. And it takes, you know, 30, 40 minutes to even get to a bathroom. You can make a ton of money, but the whole weekend you're just miserable.
Right.
That's not a great show. You know, you leave that show like, I can't wait to go home and grind for like weeks because I just spent 4 days not working on what I'm working on. But I mean, aside from that, like, yeah, New York's a great place, you know.
Yeah.
New York Comic Con's an awesome show.
Right.
But
that year was not your year.
AC out in a basement, super great with over 100,000 people in the building. Yeah, it's a bad show. But yeah, I mean, I've been at shows where there's not a lot of attendance.
Yeah.
But you still like either, you know, lined up a project, caught up with old friends, you know, and it's a good show. And then like I finished shows there, you know, super busy and got no commissions, you know, or got robbed, you know, or whatever. And that's a bad show. But
it's a bad show when you get robbed.
Yeah, in general though, like, you know, most shows are pretty decent. Even the small ones, because like I'm not a big name, you know.
Sure.
So small shows are cool because like you're kind of like a bigger name, you know, and there's a smaller
bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Yeah, you know, and those,
I gotta say, like at this show, I've never gotten a chance to like really talk to Sanford Green at all.
Yeah.
Like I've seen him at shows for the last like 10 years, like years of like seeing him at shows, like bumping into him, saying hey, and like but he's like a very charismatic person. He's got a lot of friends. You know, like he's every time I like had the opportunity to like spend time with him, he's been like surrounded by people. So I was like, oh, Sanford's doing his thing.
Best shows I've ever had was there's like the comic guest at the show was George Perez.
Yeah,
and like me. And I think that's about it. You know, and there's a few small press people there, and there's a couple like local artists, but like. And there's barely any attendance. Yeah. So it's just me watching George Perez sketch and getting to talk to him.
Yeah.
And the last time I tried to like get a signature or talk to George Perez was like a convention where I got in line and the guy from me's like held up the sign end of line. I'm like,
oh no.
Oh cool. Yeah. So like just being there.
You went from end of the line.
Yeah. to 2 days watching George Perez sketch like, you know, amazing sketches for kids and stuff, and just talk to him about his process, and he wasn't bugged because there's nothing to do, you know.
Right.
So I left that show so stoked. You know. So that's kind of the nice thing about some of the smaller shows.
So what's the toughest thing about being a stormtrooper?
Fighting against the misconception that you can't shoot anything.
Perfect. You're always on target.
Yes, totally.
So, is there any moment in your career where you were starting out where you were like, I don't know if this is gonna work, and you got like a good review or you got like a positive feedback that like put fuel in your tank for like a while? You were like, this is gonna work. Like, was there ever a moment where you're like, it was like kind of like a turning point, or?
There was like a moment, and you were actually with me.
Yeah.
It was Chicago one year, and we were getting ready to leave on a Sunday. And
what year was this?
I don't know.
We've done a lot of Chicago. We've done C2E2.
It was It was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
It was the show where me, you, and Matt split the room.
Okay. Yeah.
And you thought I was raging all night, but I was just sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
But
I was like, man, Larry's out late.
Yeah. No.
You're on the floor, the other side of the bed.
Since I started going to shows, I was submitting to the Marvel portfolio reviews.
Yeah.
And Valiant was there too, and they had just done portfolio submissions.
Yeah.
And usually I go up to the Marvel booth and like whatever intern or whatever is like, I'm like, what's your name? You know, and because they do the thing where you turn your stuff in and then they have a list, but they don't put the list up. Like you have to ask someone for it.
Yeah.
So like every year I'd be like, I'm Larry, you know, and they'd be like, better look next year, kid. You know, and and I'll like walk away all bummed out. And
that's heartbreaking.
And I remember like I went up there that morning and they're like, I was like, Larry Watson, like, oh yeah, your review's like, I don't know, like an hour from now or whatever. And I was just like so stoked, you know, because like I'd never gotten that before. And then so I'm like getting ready to do that, and I go over to the Valiant booth, and I was on that list too, and I was just like, fuck yeah, you know. And I remember we were gonna have to leave the show early for the flight, and like I checked, and like both the reviews were like when we're supposed to be leaving.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, you know. But so I went and talked to them. They're like, we can do it now, you know. And so like before we left, I did 2 reviews, and they were great. And I got the editor's cards and stuff. And I remember like being in the cab with you and just like being like over the moon. And and it was like one of those things where like I felt stupid for being over the moon because I was like,
no, dude.
I was like, you're an established guy. Like,
no.
You don't know how I feel, you know. But like, I remember being so happy.
I don't think that you ever really forget that feeling, those moments.
Cause dude, like, it'd been like So I started going to shows like 2009 or something. So that had to be when I started getting published. So it was like 2012 or something like that. So again, it was the pages from that second Robin Hood arc. So I was already like 6-something issues in. So that was like one of the moments where I was like, I can make this work. I'm really, you know, like I felt like really inspired to keep going because I just finally made that stupid list. You know. What's a typical day for you? My typical day is pretty abnormal. Because like, there's probably a lot of people who are watching this, like either like wanting to break into comics or thinking about breaking into comics and excited about process and stuff like that, but they feel like they can't because they can't devote enough time to it or whatever. Right. So I am in a peculiar situation where I own a t-shirt company too. You know, and I have an office. So like I wake up at like 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, take my oldest son to school.
Yeah.
And he's dropped off and in school by like 7:15, 7:20. Then go to my office.
Yeah.
And I work / you know, hammer out some odds and ends comic wise from like 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like usually.
What kind of odds and ends comic stuff do you do?
Well, like maybe some thumbnails.
Oh, okay.
Like get in some thumbnails, you know.
Sure.
Print out the scripts, you know, answer back some emails.
Yeah.
Maybe some cleanups if I have to. In between other projects.
Right.
You know, and if it's a great day, like I'll have like done some thumbnails and layouts.
Yeah.
Then at 5 I go home. I'm home by like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I do the family stuff, dinner, spend some time with the family, get them to bed, you know. They're in bed by 8:30, you know, if it's a weekday.
And that's when your comic day starts?
And then that's when, you know, well, no, I've been trying to gym it up, you know, or go running. And I find that's good for me because if I don't, I get tired early. Yeah. But if I go to the gym, if I go running,
get a little more energy.
Yeah, I'm a little pumped for a while, and then once I get back from that, you know, I just work until like I've been trying to get in bed by like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Damn, man. That's hustle.
And most nights I don't remember falling asleep.
Yeah.
Because I usually just pass out or whatever.
Are you falling asleep on your tablet?
I have several times.
I think everybody's been there.
Sarah has videos of me like working, you know, or sleeping, you know, and then she'll come in and be like, Larry, and I'll be like, huh? And I'll instantly just jump back to work. She's like, go to bed. And I'm like, I wasn't sleeping.
I was working the whole time.
You know, I'm horrible about that.
Yeah.
But you know, some days I get some work done at work, you know.
Yeah.
Some days I don't, but like most nights, like my main goal is to get something down.
Yeah.
You know, and not like I stopped putting like that pressure. Like you got to do this much, you know, because I just tell myself you got to get something done, and then usually once you get started and you get in the groove, it starts going. But when you're like putting a lot of pressure on yourself, like
it's harder to get that space.
Right, and depending on like what my schedule is, like since I own the t-shirt shop, I can go like I need to work on the comic books right now.
Yeah.
Can you guys hold down the fort? And like I'll be there.
What's the longest amount of time that you've taken off from the t-shirt company at one time for comics? Is it just like a day normally, or is it
or like an afternoon, or if like it's a long convention, a couple days. You know? But
so you're never like, I need a week. You know?
No. I mean, because honestly, and I feel bad saying this, but like I get a lot of work done there because I don't have a lot of distractions. Because my kids distract me.
Right? Yeah.
Sarah, like my wife distracts me.
It's tough working at home.
It is.
Yeah.
But at the office, it's like, all right, I'm in my office, you know.
Things gotta get done.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in like that work mode because I'm in a place where like no one's messing with me, and I'm used to like get stuff done there. So like I get a lot of the like layouts is the hardest for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm like I gotta really. I feel like they're like a puzzle, you know.
Sure.
And when I'm in a workplace where I'm kind of used to doing, you know, work, I'm like I can get the work done. I feel like the pencils and the inks are like, I'm having fun, you know. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, you know. And that's the kind of stuff I can do and talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem. But like when I'm doing layouts and someone starts talking to me, I'm just like, I can't even talk to you. Like whatever you just said meant nothing to me.
I feel the same way when I get color corrections. When I have to go like from whatever I have to whatever the correction is in the simplest way.
Yeah,
I'm just like I have to focus. I have to figure out this puzzle, and then that's the moment when someone like wants like, hey, you think that we should? And I'm just like, I cannot.
Don't.
Yes.
I can't remember like reading a script and like doing these like, you know, the chicken scratch, you know, gibberish on the page, and then someone's like,
is that your process with it? Do you like print the scripts? You said
I always print the scripts out,
and then do you thumbnail it like right on the script?
Sometimes I do scratch work and like you know, little figures and stuff, but I always go to a digital blue board or a digital board, and I start like.
Have you built your own templates for this?
No, I just put like squares.
Yeah.
You know.
Nothing fancy.
Yeah, not really. But like
Jim Rugg. The reason I asked because Jim Rugg recently was sharing his PDFs for his templates for his projects on his Patreon.
Do like little pre-made panels. And
well,
stuff,
it's not only that; it's like gridded out in a mathematical way, and then it also has like these circles around it where he's like figuring out like where the
things go.
Like
I've got the golden ratio.
Right. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff.
You know,
how much of that should like anybody like? Obviously, Jim Rugg's like functioning at like a high level for comics.
Yeah.
Like he's like deep in it. How much of that should anyone like really worry about when they're like starting to do pages like consistently?
The first thing anyone should worry about is whatever's on that script.
Yeah. Like
taking that and getting some visual representation for
and that's it. Just make that happen.
Make it happen first, you know, because like if you're doing covers, I get it. Like, you know, you want to have like you want to do the golden ratio thing. You want to figure out the rules of thirds and everything. Like, that's great. But like, if you're translating this script and it's whatever it is, like, you need to get from point A to point B. Yeah. And if you can't even get there, I don't care how pretty it is. Right. You know. So, but like, I find it the hardest just to get all that down first. And once I get it thumbnailed out, I can move stuff around. And like. Make this panel bigger, you know, fix whatever the line of...
I don't know how... when I was in college, you know, I didn't have a large format printer. We were just, like, I was taking, like, a thumbnail and then, like, trying to redraw the thumbnail large on a page, and I don't know how I survived, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Today, while I was sketching a little bit in the sketchbook, I was like, I've been trying to like nail down portraiture. We've been talking about this. And just doing like simple eyes, nose, mouth, headshot is like a staple for conventions. and like being able to get that down and do it fast is like really important. And I was working on it, and I was like, okay, structure, eyes, perspective, you know, like make sure everything looks good, like everything's in its right space. And then I was just like, you know what if the head's just a lumpy potato? And I just like took the Sharpie, just went right to Sharpie, and was just like, whatever. And then I was like eyeball, nose, mouth. And I I was like, is this better than what I was doing before? I was like, maybe, I might be onto something.
You might be.
I don't know. Lumpy potatoes. That's gonna be my cash money.
Lumpy potatoes. I like it. And molasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I feel like sometimes those garbage drawings are the best ones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that sketchbook's cool, man.
Yeah.
I like that sketchbook a lot too, because I can see even the short time period you've been doing it.
Well, a lot of it is just me like kicking the rust off, trying to figure things out. Like this worked, this didn't. Yeah. I'm a big. I don't know. Do you keep a sketchbook? Kind of. What
I've
does
got
that
a
mean?
lot of sketchbooks that I've started.
Yeah.
And then like lost, you know.
Right.
Then found later, you know. But I used to like religiously. Like, have like I called it an art journal.
Yeah.
It's like a diary, you know, like.
Oh my god.
You know, like it had drawings. It had
We're
stuff.
talking about the live journal in the meat space.
The live journal in the meat space.
Yeah, man.
What is
live
that?
journal in real life.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it was. You know, like it had clippings in it, like from. This was before any of that stuff, and like I think before I had a computer, because I was like saving up for one or whatever. But like I would just take newspaper clippings and drawings and or whatever, and just, I'd have these things all the time, and they're horrible because
you were a kid.
Well, also I was like trying to be like brutally honest in it, you know.
Yeah.
And then like your friend would find it and be like, "What the fuck, man?" And you're like.
Shit.
You know, I'm like,
you're burning bridges.
I'm like, I'm just trying to write my thoughts, you know?
Damn.
But yeah, I used to have.
Don't kill my vibe, man.
And dude, I love some of those drawings in it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like.
You're untrained.
Well, and I'd lose them. Right? Yeah. So in my mind, I'd be thinking about these drawings.
Oh, the drawing in your mind has changed over the years. Yeah.
And then I'll find the drawings and stuff. I'll be like, yo, I used to suck. Like, really bad.
My mom decided just recently that she was going to she had a bunch of high school art and she photographed it all and sent it to me. And I was like, why did you do this?
But some of it was actually kind of like, I could look at it and be like, that's kind of interesting. Like, I kind of like what I was doing there. I went through like a masking tape phase.
Oh yeah?
With like masking tape and watercolor. Yeah. And like, it was all about texture and like bleeding colors and masking stuff off.
That's kind of neat.
And
I wonder if there's any,
I still have these.
I mean, like, I wonder if there's any good brushes, Photoshop brushes in there. Like, scan them, section it off, make a stamp brush kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I used to do that too. Like, when I first got into digital stuff, I was like really about the process or whatever. Yeah. Like, I would like take a coffee cup, you know, and like scan the stain, you know, and use that.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah, I think we've all done the coffee cup thing. Where
right.
Like, look at that, that's cool. It's an Enzo. You know, like it's like I have files that are just windows, like doors, and bricks, you know.
So my big argument, one of the things that drives me crazy is when I see somebody's sketchbook and it's all just like knockouts. It's all just like one beautiful drawing after the next. Yeah. Because I feel like
they're not.
I feel like a sketchbook should be where your trash lives. Yeah. Sketchbook should be this like safe space.
What if that is their trash though?
They're
just so good
that I cannot emotionally handle that. Yeah. Like I can't wrap my mind around that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the sketchbook should be a sketchbook. And I think you should have some stupid ass drawings in there.
Yeah. If your sketchbook isn't stupid, you goofed.
Maybe a couple of like bad poems.
Sure. Is there anything you want to talk about that we didn't get to talk about?
I don't know. What did we talk about?
We talked a lot about process. Talked a lot about how you got into comics.
Yeah.
Is there anything you're reading right now that you really like? I'm putting you on the spot here.
I mean, I told you I'm really into that Southern Bastards book. It's pretty tight. There's I mean, it's not new, but I can't recommend enough that book Whispers.
Josh Luna book.
Yeah, that's really good. Oblivion Song, Kirkman, that's good.
Yeah. Cool, man.
The Realm, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Colors is horrible.
Wait.